Dateline, March 5th, 2011. We are not alone. Turns out the UK has finally decided to unclassify its classified UFO files. Yeah, there's some pretty interesting stuff in here. You can download it all at http://ufos.nationalarchives.gov.uk. They're all PDF files. You can download them. They're a bit redacted, but there's some pretty interesting stuff in there. They got papers in there that deal with the United Nations discussions of UFOs from 1977, 1978. I got some United States files. Got a few U.S. files on UFOs. And had a CIA. They got some CIA files on there that the UK has released about how the CIA was planning on using UFO reports for psychological warfare. I mean, how evil is that? How evil is that? They've released in 1951 something called the Flying Saucers Working Party had made a brief for then Minister of Defense Winston Churchill. That's on there. Your reading pleasure. Lots of color photographs, UFOs from around the world. They got them all them you want. There was a particular incident, kind of curious. It's called the Renzdolham incident, where there was some UFO action going down. And they have papers talking about how those files have actually been destroyed. Yet all the files before and after them, they're still there. They're still there. That's a little curious. That's a little curious there. They actually had a UFO desk at the Ministry of Defense there in the UK. They even established a UFO hotline in 1986 to keep up with his stuff. Just in case anybody ever uses the word UAP. That's an unidentified aerial phenomenon. That's the same thing as a UFO. And when I say UFO, I mean flying saucer. So everybody knows that's what we're talking about. We're talking about flying saucers. They have the emergency procedures. The emergency procedures are what you do in the UK if there happens to be a UFO incident. Emergency procedure dealing with the landing of a UFO. UFO lands there in front of Buckingham Palace. They're prepared. They're prepared. And you can find out how by downloading the PDF file. Or if there's a crash. UFO happens to crash. Chances of a UFO crashing on the planet Earth are kind of, well, unless it gets shot down. That's kind of slim. It's kind of slim. There were a lot of UFO incidents. There were 15 unidentified aircraft were detected on radar approaching the UK right before 9/11. A lot of UFO conspiracy stuff involved with 9/11. Pretty much anything else. House of Lords in 1979. They had a UFO debate. There's been books and stuff written about this. They got the full debate of the UFOs held there in Parliament. All that's available on the PDF file. You just run out and download that if you're interested. Here are the numbers. And number of UFO incidents. They peaked at 609 between 1996 and 1997. That's a lot of UFOs. They averaged about 130 a year. After that, they got the UFO briefing prepared for the Ministry of Defense Kilfoyle back in 1999. That's available online. All kinds of UFO information. Now the question, are we alone? The answer is obviously not. Obviously not, man. It's just too much evidence. People being picked up by UFOs all the time. Happening all the time. I've been picked up by UFOs maybe about 7 or 8 times. But I'm not bragging about it. I'm not calling the feds or anything. I just think it's par for the course, man. You haven't been picked up by a UFO, you're out of the loop. That's all I have to say about it. This is Stephen Smith with the Birmingham Free Press. Wishing you and yours Godspeed.